This guy above me, Frank, was long Dogecoin like way before anything happened. Like, and I think, I don't want to butcher the story. We put out a video when it was happening because it was so wild. I think he put in like a really small amount of money and it turned into like, I think, was it like 100 to like 1800 or something crazy, Frank? What was
it was ridiculous. It ended up being about like $180.
Yeah.
And I had the what do you call it? I had the diamond hands.
You had diamond hands, that's for sure.
So I held on for way too long. I saw what I can't tell you the percent because it was a lot. It was like, I don't know the math in my head, but it was $180, went up to 10K. And then eventually, it started showing signs of weakness after Elon Musk went on SNL. And
I remember that.
I was just like, okay, well, after that, price just did nothing but tank. So at some point along the way, I was like, I'm just going to call it quits here. So I didn't realize the full potential of profits because of my diamond hands.
Frank, we've got two trades to talk about. One we share, the other is new for you. Let's go to gold first. So gold, I mentioned this yesterday. I pointed out that on the daily chart, we had this resistance point, price coming down, trying to break through these yesterday's kind of low. Nice start to the day, a little bit of a bearish push here. And you took a short trade inside of VIP, is that right?
Yes, I got in pretty much where price is at now, 1963 something. And I mean, overnight we saw a good dip, but then there was some recovery in that market. But I still have this lingering bias that I've been looking to take more short trades on this metal, just because, this excessive run to the upside and then this catch on like a triple top, if you want to call it that. It has multiple tops here where it just could not break above. And yeah, the fact that we're on day 3 and price is still, struggling to break that kind of shows that there's a little bit of an exhaustion in there. So what I'm looking for is a test lower towards like the 1940s or 30s level, which is kind of around this little past top we've seen. So just looking at a pullback here, and honestly, hopefully all the way back to the downside. But what's really going to impact gold and the NAS trades that we're in are PMI that's coming out in like a minute or something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Frank, if we can take a quick pause and come right back to you. We've got in just about 30 seconds, the numbers coming out. Guys, I've got the euro in the bottom left. We've got the gold chart in the top left. We've got the, let's put the NASDAQ just to see how things are impacted here on top right. And then, of course, the dollar index bottom right. Guys,
we need lower numbers.
Yeah.
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert traders signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
That's what we're looking for. But, we don't know what's going to happen initially. Like it's going to swing one way really hard regardless. So,
yep. And here comes the news. The gold market initially pushing lower, dollar index higher. That maybe suggests a little bit of heat in the PMI numbers. Let's see what we got. Again, forecasts were 49.5 on manufacturing and services. We got 50, Frank. This is showing yet again.
Another beat.
Another beat, a 50.9 for services. That is yet again another beat. Strength for the US dollar makes sense here, and good for your gold trade, Frank. That's got to be nice right now as this trade's lower based on again a strong economic output. And I'm going to say something about the Nasdaq. I could be completely wrong about this, but I am still in the camp that a strong US economy is not necessarily bad for stocks. Now, some people might argue, well, that means the Fed's going to stay higher for longer. But I'm kind of in the camp. I don't think the Fed makes too much of a bigger move. So I'm not too threatened by this push down on the Nasdaq. And I think, dollar strength here does make sense. What do you take out of that?
No, I think you're right. We want to see a stronger economy. The only problem with that was, higher number of jobs added, better output from GDP, more purchasing managers, kind of involves that inflation aspect.
Yep.
But what we've seen is, stubborn inflation over a long-term trend downwards. Like we were like double-digit inflation. Now we're, down below 4%. I think I don't know the exact number, but we're pretty low now. And seeing that sort of a stability in inflation levels means, the path isn't over for rate hikes, but it's not too detrimental to inflation. We're not seeing large increases in CPI numbers overall. So I think it's more so a negative impact on gold just because it's trading directly against the dollar, whereas the NASDAQ has earnings and so many other factors that's coming into play here. So
no, that's a very, very good point. And I think, guys in the audience, what Frank just said is really important, because if you are taking a look at the dollar trade, many traders get confused. Dollar up, why isn't stock market down? It's not quite as, each market has its own personality. Gold can spike heavily on global tensions and fear, right? But stocks, if you're going to just look at the dollar versus stocks relationship, well, stocks have earnings. They have, the U.S. economy and how resilient or not resilient it is. So it has other factors, right? The dollar is, of course, a player in the game, but it's not the entire thing. What do you think about some of the? Actually, I wanted to come back to your thoughts on the Euro USD and the Pound USD. You made mention to something that we hadn't talked about yet on the stream today. PMI numbers out of Europe were pretty disappointing. You had the German flash services PMI came out less than expected. Manufacturing was better than expected. Services out of the French numbers, and then service out of PMI. Anyways, the numbers were not super impressive. We also saw a claimant count change tick up higher out of the UK. So a little bit of tough news out of Europe. And so I guess these charts are moving. You've got Euro USD and you've got Pound USD both selling off here pretty hard. A little bit of tough for me to look at because, of course, I shorted the Euro and I was early to this idea. But as we've said earlier on the show here today, early means wrong, right? Because of course, if you've got a stop loss and you're early, that means you were wrong. So I don't have a trade on the Euro. Fortunately, my NAS trade is going pretty well, but we will see. But I want to ask Frank and Tom, both of you guys. We'll go to Frank first. Euro dollar, pound dollar. Do you have any bias there? Any thoughts on these pairs?
Yeah, initially I was thinking of buying euro dollar. That was yesterday. I saw the EDGEFINDER score went from a very strong bearish reading to a bullish reading, or a weak bearish reading, my bad. So I was looking at a potential score flip in the system, but after, today's PMI numbers, that's going to change the score a bit too. So we could probably see more of a bearish score on euro dollar. But what I do like is I'm feeling euro longs here, and I like euro yen. Seeing that weakness here on that the daily chart. I'm looking for potential retest on that trend line. But against the dollar, I don't think I want to go long on that anymore. It looks like it wants to come down and test the those lows again. Let me pull up the chart. So, I saw this breakthrough on the daily time frame. It broke this high. I was looking at, okay, so maybe we're gonna start to see a reversal, but today's news was pretty impactful. So maybe another leg lower. So kind of short bias euro dollar.
Okay, fair enough. And Tom, what do you think? I mean, pound dollar, euro dollar, if you had to take a trade, as you like to say, gun to your head, if you had to take the trade, what are you looking at, and which direction?
Yeah, so if I'm looking at euro US dollar and pound US dollar, and I'm a little bit undecided, which I'm not, I prefer euro US dollar, because first and foremost, if we just go to pound US dollar, and we look at the weekly chart, yeah, I mean, just look at those candles. Just by looking at those alone, yeah, there's so much confusion there. Our buyers back into the market, our sellers, and we have those two candles, buyers and sellers, and then we just got a complete doji, a complete I don't know what's going to happen, and that's what those candles are telling me with pound US dollar. Whereas with euro US dollar, if we go to the weekly chart, there was more of firstly, it's more of an important weekly level. Yeah, and we got more of a full-bodied bullish candle bounce off of this level. Okay,
Sure.
And the day break that I spoke about earlier, and I would have bought this today if all this news didn't go against it, and literally every bit of news has gone against it. I would have happily bought back in this grey zone and looked to have gone higher. And another thing, if we are comparing euro US dollar, pound US dollar, I will always take a look at euro against the pound. And for me, this is a buy trade. So that suggests, go for euro US dollar as well. It just supports my argument in terms of which trade to take. And on the weekly chart, we could see we was in this range for some time, but now it's building up and it's broken out of this range. Yeah, we're starting to see higher lows, and we've had a break of these highs in here. Only just, but a break nonetheless. And then if we go to the day chart, it's just a case of, tomorrow might be the day I get into this pair, because again, if I look at structure, we've broken to an uptrend, and I didn't like these candles. I was expecting on the back of these candles for price to come lower, which it has. And if today's candle finishes like this with a lot of buying momentum, off this level here, then tomorrow I'll be looking at euro pound to potentially buy this. So, euro US dollar, it's a euro US dollar buy, and euro pound, I'm also looking to buy that as well. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing on those two.
Okay, fair enough. And guys, as I show you this chart real quick, we can see we have a guest appearance on the stream. It's Bitcoin. What the heck is going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Bitcoin is up to 34,400, which is wild to see. And this is very characteristic of Bitcoin. When it makes its moves, it does not pull back. It does not wait. It just breaks out and it says, see you later. As far as I know, it does look like the SEC's attempts to stop the Bitcoin ETF from becoming a thing have been pretty futile, meaning they've tried to stop it. They've had court hearings and things like that, and they've just I believe that the latest news out of it, again, not a market that I follow incredibly closely, but they had a chance to appeal and to come back into conversation about stopping this Bitcoin ETF. I think it's the Grayscale ETF or something like that. Anyways, they declined to appeal, and so Bitcoin is off to the races. We broke out into the 30,000 mark. We've been pegged lower each time we come up into this 31,500 level, and here we are today, 34,400. Frank, what do you think? Do you think Bitcoin keeps going? Do you think, are you even, my hesitation is like stocks have been so questionable this year. Why is this risk essentially and arguably a risk on asset? Why is it doing so well right now?
I just know it was from those, the SEC troubles with them trying to, punch holes in the crypto market and tighten regulation. But I'm holding Ethereum and a couple other cryptos, but I've been holding small positions of them for forever, since like 2020. So I'm just in these ups and downs. Just I don't really have a particular bias in the short term, but I think crypto overall, like long-term scale, we'll see those bull
and
markets.
arguably a pretty strong breakout here, right, Frank? I mean, you could draw a nice little longer term downward trend line on that daily chart, and you've got the breakout there kind of happening. And even if you do a horizontal level of resistance at that 1700 market, by all accounts, seems to be a chart that wants to go. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I also like to tell the story. I'm going to come to you in a second, Tom, just to see your thoughts on crypto. I like to tell this real quick story about years ago when Dogecoin was a big thing. This guy above me, Frank, was long Dogecoin like way before anything happened. And I think, I don't want to butcher the story. We put out a video when it was happening because it was so wild. I think he put in like a really small amount of money and it turned into like, was it like 100 to like 1800 or something crazy, Frank?
It was ridiculous. It ended up being about like $180.
Yeah.
Before the 2020 spike into the new year. And I had the what do you call it? I had the diamond hands.
You had diamond hands, that's for sure.
So I held on for way too long. I saw I can't tell you the percent because it was a lot. It was like, I don't know the math in my head, but it was $180, went up to 10K, and then eventually, it started showing signs of weakness after Elon Musk went on SNL, and
I remember that.
I was just like, okay, well, after that, price just did nothing but tank. So at some point along the way, I was like, I'm just gonna call it quits here. So I didn't realize the full potential of profits because of my diamond hands. But
well, it's a good lesson, Frank. And I think also, just to add, this is 2021 in a nutshell, guys. I don't know if all of you were, probably most of you guys were not trading during this time, but 2020 and 21 were it was almost like if you could, anything you could buy with a ticker on it would go up like crazy. It was just, It was the easiest. Everything was like hot knife on a butter to trade. It was so easy. And then we got hit with 2022, which put things in perspective. Anyways, Tom, I want to ask your thoughts just as we kind of end out here. Bitcoin breaking up into the 34s. Are you a bull? Do you own any? Are you a bear? What do you think?
I as a rule, I don't trade Bitcoin. It's just so volatile and so susceptible to pieces of news like the SEC or whatever it might be, or Ecuador decide to use it as a currency, or China don't. It's so susceptible, and then you just get a mad buying frenzy or a mad selling frenzy. It's more volatile than the relationship with my ex-girlfriend. So we avoid that. So I don't really trade Bitcoin. I keep an eye on it because a few guys asked me to analyze it and give my opinion on it. But yeah, it's just too susceptible to these things. And you don't really catch wind of these things until they've happened and the moves happened. And then you're just jumping in on Bitcoin. You haven't, got in at a great price. Because if you started buying this now, I mean, there's just no value whatsoever. But it could go up to God knows where. Right. So it's such a reactive, it's such a reactive trade all the time. You find yourself jumping in on it. But if I had to find a level, there is a weekly level through here. That may have an impact on this, skyrocketing price at the moment. But yeah, like I say, guys, don't really trade Bitcoin. Keep an eye on it, but yeah, too, like I
Fair
say,
enough.
too volatile.
It's one of those markets. I don't really pay too much attention to it also. And like I said, my biggest call into question is we're not in a 2021 environment where
No.
everything speculative flies with ease, right? We're in a really hostile environment for risk right now, with yields being where they're at, and global tensions high, and so it's an interesting market to keep an eye on nonetheless.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.